Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good whenever you're watching this. Welcome to the third episode of Podjiast, a podcast series where I read out situations that are sent to me through Curious Cat and comment on them with a few friends. So, for today's episode, we're going to be talking about communication. And I know a friend that's very good at communication and making friends and chikaing with other people. So, here today we have Beatrice Beryl U. Chicano with us. And or anything else, I have a question. What's your MBTI, if you know?
Uh, like I've tested in different sites, but mostly it's just ENFP or ENFJ.
Oh, so extrovert. So the situation that was sent to me for this episode was, what are your recommendations to help me communicate with others more? Because I don't have the confidence to communicate with others and be more social. So
Um,
honestly, I have a good guess on who this is. So my 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 recommendations may be kind of directed at that person. Pero sige, okay lang. I guess Bea, you can start.
um, I think because I wasn't always like super out there. Like I would perform a lot, but it's not really like in terms of like off stage. I wouldn't really. Let's say my socialization skills weren't as good as now. So I guess one thing that I kind of got used to was like the mentality that everybody is just an audience. Because on stage, like you really have to like have that mentality. Everybody's just a member of the audience, whether you like it or not. Because sometimes, like when you perform, you get nervous about like whether or not these people will judge you. But honestly, like yeah, it's a different case. Like especially when you're watching from down there are lots of things that you don't notice from the performances. Maybe the person you're watching made like a mistake, but you didn't notice because that person like covered it up really cleanly. So it's the same thing in like communication. So sometimes you don't need to worry about like whether or not you'll make a mistake. Rather, you have to worry about the first impressions that you leave on other people because I so I took communication classes back in 2019, and one of the teachers said that it takes you 7 to 11 seconds to make a first impression. And you know how normally that first impression kind of like sticks. Don't use me as your source because honestly, the only source I used was my teacher. And for the record, he does actual like speeches on public speaking, so I guess it's credible enough. So yeah, and then he did also discuss on how like generally people will like notice a lot of things like you don't notice, but at the same time lots of the things you notice they will not. So don't think too hard on it, and like uh, always have this mentality that whenever you're for example chatting with somebody, especially if it's like online, okay, if it's online, always have this mentality like to save your reputation, that everything that you send other people might be taken against you. And this is like super handy because like sometimes lots of issues can be caused like with like miscommunication, and other people can misinterpret your words, especially when online. So like think of it as your partial K-pop idol experience, because yeah, you know how K-pop idols, everybody can misinterpret anything they say. So yeah, you just think of it like that. When you're speaking online, be a little more careful, but at the same time remember that they're your audience, and they're just there to like listen. And of course you also have to listen to them at the same time. I think listening to other people really important. It's a really huge turn off when you're talking about like when other people are talking about like their own problems, and you suddenly butt in, and then you say like, oh my gosh, and then you proceed to like say something that's like completely different, like completely out of topic, that wouldn't help them. So yeah, it's one thing to consider. You have to like listen to um your quote unquote audience. You also have to like listen to their thoughts, but at the same time remember that it's still you. You can't just change your personality just because you want to please someone. So yeah, that's yeah, my advice.
For the situations, honestly, hard to say. Like to just be confident. Because sometimes like other people really are intimidating. And to be honest, I was like that to your class. Like sa start ng school year, I was like, oh my god, alam mo ba, yung 11 PDLB, so intimidating. And then now we're like going to Lucky Chinatown and playing badminton together. So it's like wow to me. And like yeah, super agree ako dun sa part na communication. Like in order to maintain your it's really important to listen to other people or like listen to your friends. Kasi I feel like my guess who sent this they sort of struggle with that. Kasi if you only talk about yourself, if you're only there to talk about yourself to your friends, then like sort of what's the point? Kasi um in the analogy of like an audience and performer perspective, yes, you're the performer, pero you still have to interact with your audience. You have to think about your audience. It's not all just about you. Kasi ikaw yung performer. It's important to listen. And yeah, I feel like you won't be able to really maintain your friends if what you do all the time is just talk about yourself. Um, pero honestly, sometimes I feel like I can't even remember how I got close to specific people. Like, honestly, hindi ko na maalala kung paano ako naging close with the grade 11s. Like, it all just happened so fast. Like, bigla na lang kaming naglalaki and it's just so wow to me because I was so scared of you guys at the start of the school year. Well, honestly, I think we got close through gossiping, but that's like a whole other topic. So it's a like contemporary issue and like yeah, I feel like you just really have to find a common ground between you and um whoever you want to be friends with. Because if you don't have a common ground and you have different values, I feel like it'll definitely be very hard for you to become friends with them. And I think that you shouldn't really force yourself into friend groups just because you need a friend group. Because in the end, um, it might be convenient for you at the moment. But in the end, parang iisipin mo na, ano bang ginagawa ko at the time? Like, I would have been fine by myself. Kasi if you're in a friend group na with like people that you don't vibe with or people that you don't like, parang you're just draining yourself, you know? So yeah, that's it for me. Do you have anything else to say, Bea?
Oh, I feel like I really agree with like the common ground thing because lots of people they kind of forget like after listening and then after speaking, like you also have to find something to maintain like that you know connection. Because some conversations are like with other people, like for the one who's like asking for advice, I have to like give a disclaimer that for other people, lots of people actually that you'll meet in your life, you'll only have short conversations with them. And like, no, it's not really like because you're bad at speaking or if it's like because they just like don't like you. No, it's that sometimes you just don't click with certain people, and that's okay because we're not supposed to be friends with everybody, anyways. We're just supposed to be in good terms. So, or at least in neutral terms. So, yeah, that's one thing to remember. Well, and also like when picking up the like what do I say? What do I call this? When picking up the likes and dislikes of another person, I think oh wait, OMG to somebody, like what their likes and dislikes are, you can try to pay attention to what they say thank you like for and what they say sorry for. Because like sometimes some people will say sorry for very very small things, and though in your mind it's like, oh, it's just no big deal, but for them it's a really huge thing, and it might backfire on you if you don't pick like if you don't pick that up, because sometimes we don't really intend to offend people, or sometimes we don't really want to make them feel like they don't matter to you, but it kind of comes off that way, and it's not your fault. It's just that we think differently, and yeah, it's really good to notice like what they like and don't like, um based on the small things. And like lastly, there's also huge like communication tip. If you don't know where to look, like on stage, for example, you don't know where to look, you can divide the audience, like if you're like in a standard like the auditorium in Chiang Kai-shek, for example, you can divide the audience into four, and like these quadrants will like help you. So for example, every single sentence that you speak, you can look at one quadrant, and then you can look at the next when you're speaking the next sentence. Or if it's like you're talking to 10 people, then maybe for every phrase or every sentence that you say, you look at a different person. It helps you like um OMG, I'm lagging again. OMG, wait, hold on. Okay, so it helps you focus on like what to say, rather than be agitated. Well, oh no, who should I look at next? And then like if it's like one on one, on the other hand, if you want to look at a person, you're talking to them, you don't know where to look. You just do the diamond like thing. This one I also learned in like a communication class I took. So you look at the person's left eye, and then you look at the person's forehead, you look at the person's right eye, and you look at the person's temples. Like I know, not temples. OMG, sorry, messed it up. You look at the person's like the top of their nose bridge. Like right, you'll see like most noses will have like this certain like part of their nose bridge that's like a little higher than the others. That like you'll notice that part. Yeah, and then you just look at that part of the nose bridge, and then like it's like a diamond. So you look at it counterclockwise or clockwise. It works. It works really well. If you don't know, like if you don't want to look at them creepily, like why are you staring into my soul? Like so yeah, you can just do that clockwise, counterclockwise, left eye, forehead, right eye, nose bridge, or nose bridge, left eye, forehead, right eye. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Bea
So
has very many good tips, which is why I thought that she's the perfect guest for this talaga. And like also another thing is that sometimes you think that you're going, or like you think lang na you click well with this group of people, or like with a certain person. Whereas you get to know them better, like like may napapansin ka na parang, oh, this part of their personality is not okay. This attitude or like this habit is not okay. And honestly, I think for maintaining friendships, communication is key, because you know how they say like in romantic relationships, communication is key to maintain the relationship. It's like, or like to make the relationship better. I feel like the same should apply to friendships. Like if may napapansin kang mali na ginagawa ng friend mo, and you think na they can still improve on that thing, then you should like voice it out, instead of doing things like keeping it to yourself and having bad feelings about them without them knowing, or like even worse, talking about them behind their backs. Because it's honestly not going to do anything good for you. So honestly, the best is just to to talk to them, to communicate with them. Because the friendship's not going to last if you don't voice out your problems with each other, or if you're not open with one another. I think there are also some friendships that only exist because of convenience. And then other people think, nah, oh, these people are so close. I didn't know that you had these kinds of problems. But in reality, sometimes when people want to become friends with other people, there's like an ulterior motive. Um, an example of this, it's not that serious, but like a majority of my guy friends, I'm only friends with like a lot of guys because they've had crushes on my friends and they wanted help from me, which I knew from the start, so it's kind of fine. Or like sometimes it gets worse. But like all this time you thought, nah, they really wanted to be friends with you. Yung pala, they wanted like something else from you pala. And it's like, what? Kasi parang you shouldn't, the relationship or like the friendship shouldn't be one-sided. Hindi pwede na ikaw lang yung genuine and then yung other person is just like a business relationship to them. So yeah, ayun. And I'm speaking in terms of what's happened recently then. So yeah, I think it's very relevant.
Really true. I agree. That's the only thing I can. I agree. I agree so well. Sometimes friendships are just out of convenience.
Yeah. So moving forward, I hope that whoever sent this will be able to make more friends or at least talk to more people using our extroverted tips. And I hope that they and I will also learn from this talk. So with that, that would be the end of this podcast episode. Thank you so much, Bea, for being here, my one and only true savior, and to everyone who's listening to this right now. And I hope that in the last two episodes of series, we talk about a lot of things. Bye. Thank you so much, Bea.
Bye bye. Thank you too.